It's everywhere. It's heartbreaking, it's destructive, and it's addictive. It's pornography. Pornography tears families apart and ruins the true meaning of love. This has negative effects on not only the viewer, but also their families and loved ones. I'm going to touch on some major issues the world faces today with pornography. Through my paper, I hope to persuade you the harmful effects that pornography has on everybody. Pornography tears families apart, marriages, and even communities. In an article entitled, "Is Porn Harmful?" by Joshua Scott, he tells a story of a young boy who catches his dad looking at pornography. He had grown up with the knowledge that pornography was demeaning and destructive, so he promised himself that he would never look at it. One night, he saw the computer light shining from his dad's bedroom. Being a curious young boy that he was, he went in to see what his dad was up to, only to find him masturbating to images he knew better than to look at. Shortly after, his mother filed for divorce. This tore the young boy apart and gave him major depression problems. When he got older, the image of his dad was engraven in his mind, as pornography was his dad's. He grew up promising himself that he would never look at such a disgusting thing because of what it did to his poor mother. It broke their marriage and their family apart. If a husband or wife is addicted to pornography, their views on the spouse change completely. You soon become boring and not as good as the internet sites. A child who has a parent who views pornography is not blind to the fact that they treat their spouse differently. Like the story of the young boy who caught his dad. He saw just how destructive it was. No child should have to see their parents fight or even fall out of love because of something as selfish as pornography. Pornography can give someone a false sense of reality. In an article written by Jameson Church, he says, "Pornography really does alter your mind, like a drug. It somehow diminishes and enhances your confidence. It gives you an extremely false sense of reality, one that is not easy to shake as the years go on. Nobody looks like the photoshopped women or men on the internet sites. Someone who views porn has high expectations of what his or her sex life should be like, when in reality, love is much more than just sex. Pornography wants you to think that sex is supposed to be something it's not. After viewing something so exciting, it can make intimacy with your spouse boring and non-satisfying. Sexual intimacy is something sacred and private between you and your spouse. It is not something that needs to be viewed on the internet. It ruins the purpose of being in love." Women already have things to be insecure about, but having a spouse that is addicted to pornography will absolutely tear someone apart. It is nearly impossible to compete with the photoshopped women that men view on pornography. Dr. Manning says that instead of the traditional other women, or for heaven forbid women, the spouse of a pornography user is betrayed with hundreds, if not thousands, of fantasy images that invite her into thinking she doesn't measure up. The discovery of this problem is in marriage is unequally devastating, evoking intense range of emotions. In fact, researchers support that it is just as painful, if not more so, than the traditional affair. Hence, it's not surprising that we are seeing an increase of divorces relating to this issue. Every woman wants to feel beautiful and confident in their own skin, but having a husband who looks at other girls will absolutely tear her down and make her feel terrible about her self-image. Nobody deserves to have to compete for their husband's love. A wife can love you back, and a computer screen cannot. There are so many harmful effects of pornography. Gene McCollum and Keith Campbell tell us the 5 stages of addiction to pornography. Number 1 is early exposure. Most guys who get addicted to porn start early. They see stuff when they're very young, and then it gets their foot in the door. Number 2 is addiction. You keep coming back to porn, it becomes a regular part of your life, and you're hooked and you can't quit looking at it. Number 3 is escalation. After a while, escalation begins. You start to look for more and more graphic porn. You start using porn that would have disgusted you when you started, and now it excites you. Number 4 is desensitization. Eventually, you start to become numb. Even the most graphic, degrading porn doesn't excite you anymore. You become desperate to feel the same thrill, but you can't find it. And number 5 is acting out sexually. At this point, many men make dangerous jumps to start acting out sexually. They move from the paper and plastic images of porn to the real world. Men who view this have a higher chance of sexual aggression, rape, and sexual promiscuity. Pornography can lead someone to do things they wouldn't normally do if they weren't looking at it. Examples are child rape, having a baby out of wedlock, abusing their spouse and families, quitting a job, and so many others. More often than not, pornography leads to divorce. Social survey researchers discover that pornography addiction is the leading cause of divorce in the United States. Therapist Dr. Jill Manning says that every year for the past decade, there have been roughly 1 million divorces in the United States. He wrote, if half of the people divorcing claim pornography as the culprit, that means that there are 500,000 marriages that are failing due to pornography. I know that for myself, if my husband were to view pornography, I wouldn't want my kids to have to suffer for him. I know that divorce, I don't think it should be an option. I think that everything can be worked through, but if your spouse isn't willing to make the changes necessary, then he's not someone worth staying with. Pornography is damaging to the viewer and everyone around them. It gives one a false sense of reality, makes women feel insecure, and can lead to divorce. I hope that after hearing this, you understand just how harmful pornography is. Don't get caught up in something that tears you apart and all your loved ones away. Pornography kills love.